Hello, everybody. It's Kristina Dennis, the Transformational Self Empowerment Master. I'm coming to you on a Monday afternoon. Super happy to have, I want to say, made it through the weekend, which might sound, I don't know, maybe odd to some of you. Or maybe really the truth, and we don't talk about it. Usually the weekends are so jam-packed that it feels comfortable for me to get back into the routine of, getting my son to school, getting my house organized, working with clients at my home, and doing all the things that I like to do that give me that time. I have a lot of peace. I like to be in quiet mode, and that was something I learned over the years from doing a lot of this work. When I was a child, I was in a very dangerous kind of upbringing and very dysfunctional. Hesitate to even use that word because I don't even know if it has any power anymore. But this was the way I was raised was extreme, and it's important for me to say that, not from a standpoint of, I want you to feel sorry for me or to, have any opinion of me or change it. It's just the truth, and it's important for me to acknowledge that sometimes, and also to, give myself credit for as far as I've come. It helped shape me, it helped propel me, it helped push me into a better life and better circumstances. And I have definitely changed and broken the cycle with my son. And part of that work is what I am sharing with Transformational Self Empowerment, learning that despite any kind of circumstances that I was handed or you're handed, that we each have the power to change our lives, and we each have the power within us to be ready for any kind of changes that are thrust upon us. And last week we talked a little bit about working and defining who you were. I came from the premise of my life, and I think a lot of working moms or women that are part of the group that I belong to, the, hardworking, we've got to do it all type things, and have attachment parenting to the nth degree. And, oh, by the way, we're also doing this great work. And, oh, there's Pinterest in the world. And yeah, we've got to be great crafters, and no toxicity. And it is speed of light, the expectations that I think we put on ourselves. And I certainly feel that, and have to work actively not to engage in that kind of warfare. And so we talked a little bit about being who we were and starting from where we are. And we wrote a statement. I hope that you participated and were able to write your statement. If you haven't, please just go back a couple videos and you'll see it. It's not a massive statement. It's not a mind, okay, this is who I am. It's not necessarily even a mission statement. It's just the facts so that you can start thinking about yourself. Lots of us think about other people before ourselves. Lots of us know what's going on in other people's lives and what they need in order to be settled and okay, and don't even know that we are the frog being cooked in the boiling water. And so I always start when I'm working with somebody with, who do you see yourself as? Where do you see yourself as starting from? And then the second part that I touched on just a couple of videos, was writing your personal history. And I have been working in this kind of mode for a long time, picking up different things from obviously many wise people, learning that each individual person is going to do it themselves the way that they need to. And so I went online to do a little research this weekend, and I found some interesting tidbits. There was one particular website that said, the problem with personal histories is that usually you're just writing some, pages and dates, and they don't mean anything. And I thought, oh, well, maybe I'm not doing it right. And then I continued to read some more and investigate a little more. And they were talking about in regards to sharing this with somebody else. And sure, that will be important. You may have guessed that I would expect and will want you to share it with somebody else for the ability to connect with the human experience and connect with people. But the important part is to get started and write it down and really take the time to focus on yourself. I had to sit down and do several of these at different times in my life, because sometimes I missed. Well, at one point, this was really important for me to cover and to get through. Another part of another section of my life, it was more important for me to develop relationships or to focus on relationships. And like I said last Friday, first we got to stop the boat from sinking. So we got to plug up those holes wherever you're spending your energy, whatever is encroaching in your ability to operate, breathe, eat, live, sleep, have a nervous system that can kind of move forward to some more peaceful ways of living is the first thing that you do. When I was running clinics that helped children with autism, parents would come up to me and say, what's the best therapy? Always, it was the question. And it was thousands and thousands of people at trade shows. And I was a parent myself in that same boat, asking that same question. And I could tell them without a doubt, the best therapy for your child is the one that you can get done and do every day. The one you can afford and do every day, that's the best one. You've got to get started. And that's the same with working on oneself and digging a little deeper. So back to personal histories and why I feel it's important. One, most of us probably have not spent a lot of time trying to figure out, how did we get to where we are? Why is this my life? How did I get here? And so if you take the time to start writing down, and you can do a hybrid. And this is what I have found happens naturally when I'm working with clients, as well as people that I've worked with in support groups, is that either they don't want to talk about something that's super important, or they are ready to spill their guts and write the entire page. Either one of them is valuable, because we don't want to, and you don't want to push yourself to the point where you're not doing all of those self-loving activities that you need to do in order to even make these changes. So writing down a personal history, starting with, I don't care where you were born, but do it. Start with all kinds of, like, this is where I lived between this year and this year. This is who my friends were. But I want you to do kind of a hybrid of inventory. So any kind of specific person, I want you to separate, do a separate page for it. So you can even put a little mark on it, depending on if you're red, green, yellow, blue, whatever it is that your color scheme is, whatever works for you. For me, it was, going over and listing in categories. I did a chronological, and then I did separate ones. Like I said, at different times, I would focus on relationships. But these are some of the things that are, I think, very cool for you to have some guidance and to write naturally about. And then when you are finished, you'll have like a really nice narrative, and hopefully have spent the time to do some self-reflection, which is the whole point of the exercise. So do a separate place for each place that you lived, or do a separate page, excuse me, for each place that you lived. And you can say, this is kind of what I felt at that time. I know when I lived in Anchorage, Alaska, it was even in, I was in a very abusive home. It was a very depressed, manic depressive, schizophrenic home. That was dealing with mental illness was difficult. But also the weather and the environment of being in Anchorage, Alaska, where it was dark most of the time in the winter, was eerie. And I remember that kind of setting in. And it was really important for me as an adult to go back, because I was in, I think, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade in Alaska. And, I was a little longer than that. I went through junior high there. But I needed to know, oh yeah, I remember setting that. And now I know, like, when the sun starts coming down, oh, my heart kind of pumps a little bit. That twilight hour really affects me. And so I'm not going to beat myself up for that. It's just more to recognize that and say, oh yeah, I don't need to worry about that anymore. I'm not living there, and I'm not living with that person. And I have control over my life and how I'm treating myself. Friends of importance, love relationships, hard years at school, or great years at school. I remember my 8th grade year was incredible, but also very hard at home. And so I did a lot of writing about how that was when I learned how to be so busy that I wasn't in my own body. And, that was an important thing to say, oh gosh, that started when I was 13. I belonged to every club, had my cheerleading outfit on, worked my tail off, got sick, took care of myself, lots and lots of work. So if you do this work, you can continue to keep doing as long as you have a healthy detachment. If you feel like you're getting to a place where this is getting incredibly painful, stop, take a break, do something really sweet for yourself. One of my original mentors told me that I should crawl into bed and kind of rub my stomach. I felt ridiculous doing that, but because I had not had a nurturing mother, I needed to learn how to mother myself. And that skill that I started learning at 26, 27 years old is what ended up allowing me to be the mom that I am to a child who needs extra attention. So all of this stuff will build on it. I'm really excited to hear. I know nobody could join us today, but that's Mondays. It's still favorite song from the Bangles is Isn't It a Manic Monday? I could say every word of that and yet not remember what somebody told me 5 minutes ago. Sometimes the brain is fascinating. Sing every word to that song. I know it from 35 years ago, but I do not remember something you might have told me last week. Oh, well, it's fun to be in this world today and trying to be present as much as I possibly can. And I look forward to coming back tomorrow and talking a little bit more. I want you to know that you are 1 in a trillion, and we need to hear your story, and the people around you want to know you. So thank you for joining me on this work, and I look forward to coming back in tomorrow. And let me know if you have any thoughts or what's happening in your journaling and your personal histories. All right, take care.